Welcome back, guys. Anyways, this mirror, it's a mirror. It does what it's supposed to do. I haven't prepped this. I haven't picked out the wood. You know all those dad jokes about keeping that piece of wood in your garage for, 15 years just in case you might need it? Well, I definitely do that. I keep all my scrap wood unless it's like a tiny little piece. And I plan on building a frame for this mirror. I like playing around and doing these kinds of things. We're going to mess with the scrap wood, hopefully use some pallet wood. So I'm literally just flying by the seat of my pants on this one. Let's get into it. So we're talking 25.5 inches long. That's 18 3/4, so 19 3/4. So 25.5, 19 3/4. We gotta multiply both of those by 2. 25.5, okay, hold on. That's 51 inches. So we need 51 in length total. 19 3/4 is 39.5. So we need a total of 39.5, I said, and 51. So we need 90.5 inches. I hope I did that right. Man, if I didn't, I'm gonna be 90.5 inches. We're going 1 inch down, so ideally a 2-inch strip. But if we go a 4, that's really gonna take away a lot of this mirror. So we're gonna have to mess around with this. So 90.5 inches, that's what we need. Let's go find what we need. I guess I just gotta find what's gonna work best. This is the first thing that comes to my mind right here. This pallet wood's very thin. I could probably notch out the backside where the bracing for holding the mirror in goes. So there's 44. Yeah, that's wider than the wide. And so 44 times 4 is actually 88. That's 160. That's way more than we need. Now I gotta remember my measurements, don't I? So our length was 51 was 2 of them. So it was 25.5. 25.5. And this would be like the most boring video ever for you guys. Want to be me sitting here trying to do math to myself in my head. Make sure my top and bottom piece are the same length. I don't want things getting off and goofy. I'm going to temporarily secure these pieces together. Just screwing them on the back side with these scrap pieces in the corner so that I've got a fault. And I may end up doing that. We're going to do that so that we could go to the camper and put it up there, see what it's going to look like, see what the depth. Because my joint, I am trying to expand. And if I had a thicker piece of wood, I would probably do some biscuit joints and stuff. I've got a couple different routers now, and I might try something like that. But at this time, that piece is so thin, I am going to use glue, but I'm trying to figure out how to get that together. I could put some staples very cautiously through. I'm afraid of splintering it. So I may, have not decided, do what I'm going to do right now, which is a temporary thing, and just put a block of wood behind it, and just to put it up there and see what it looks like. Here's what we look like as a temporary. So if that's our design that we're doing, I'm going to have to do it a little better here in a moment. But first things first, we need to go out to the camper and kind of look at it and see what it's going to be like. All right, let's set it up here and see what we're going to look like. Okay, so first things first. I don't like the backing, so we're not going to do it that way. Now I got to look at the framing. Is it too much? As in, is the strip too wide? I'm so torn at the moment. You know what, guys? I'm trying to expand myself here. I'm not saying I haven't ripped anything before, but I can't be afraid to go the extra step. So it's a little bit, it's not bad, but proportionately, I feel like that's kind of thick framing for that mirror. So if I take, so if I take 1 inch off, I think that's going to make a difference. So I bet you ever look at like a rafters, like in your garage. And they've got those metal clamps that go at the when the two pieces of the two beams meet together. I bet you I could find something on a smaller scale like that. I don't even know that it exists, but there's got to be something, right? That's thin, like a little thin piece of metal that's going to, basically the staples will join in or whatever. I mean, the prongs. That's what I'm going to do. So the last thing I need to do here is figure out exactly where I'm going to need to notch out for these guys. Okay guys, so if I am going to make this flush, here's the back side. And I'm worried about these support brackets, whatever you'd call them, that hold that in place. I measured my width overall, obviously, and I just made some marks. Go ahead and get these off. And you know what? So I measured these in this configuration and whatnot. So I'm going to go, yep, like that, left, top, right, bottom. This is the back. I like this new router. I should have put 2 clamps on, by the way. Alright, I'm going to widen this one a little bit. And it doesn't look pretty on the back side, but it gives us more than enough space to hide those brackets that hold it on. And next, just very simple, I'm going to take 1 inch off of the inside of the 4 of these. So we'll still be working with the same measurements on the outside and everything. And I've already set my bench saw, so here we go. Okay, so I think this is going to look a lot better. Cut it down. This is what it's going to look like on there, but I am going to stain it. I would say our third color in our color scheme for the camper is not really a color, but it's just a dark stain. It's this Cabo semi-transparent and stain and sealer. Bark is the color of this stain. It's a darker stain. You know, I don't ever use a brush. Sometimes I use the foam brushes because they don't have bristles. But I have so many rags. This is how I stain a lot of times. I just throw on some gloves and get an old rag. I'm no expert on stain, but for me the biggest thing is, obviously this is the back. We're not worried about staining it, but you see how that looks because I had that big drippage. It's just to make sure you're using whatever you're using. For me it's rags, and to just spread and not let it sit on it in a pool and just keep going. Definitely was the right call. Notching that, looking at this lay flat on my table here versus you know, 1/4 of an inch off of the surface, and now looking at it ripped down versus the full length or full width it was before. Okay, it's stained. That's kind of light. We'll just see how that takes. We'll see if we need to add any more to it or not. But for now, we're good to go. We're going to leave that. We're going to let it dry. I bet it doesn't take very long. Have you ever been completely aware that an item exists, but you like forget about it existing when you actually need it? Until you go in the store and you're starting to try to figure out how to solve the problem, and you find said item that would be exactly for that, and then you feel really ridiculous because you just totally forgot about its existence. Flat corner braces, they're a thing, and they're like $2 for 4 of them. Kind of exactly what I need, isn't it? My brother gave me advice a few years ago. he said, there's not a problem that you have, or there's not a situation that you're trying to solve. Nothing like that on the planet. There's no scenario that someone else hasn't been through it already before. And this wasn't like a, like some like life-altering thing about like struggles or mentality or anything. It was just, hey, when you're trying to figure out something like this, somebody's been through it already. They probably already either make a tool for it or an item for it, or there's a way to fix said thing. That usually is the case, isn't it? So square ones, straight ones, all kinds of brackets. And the reason I'm wearing the gloves is that this stain is still just a tad bit damp. I probably could and should wait to put this together, but I'm just trying to, get this thing going. I'm going to run over this with this polyurethane. Just coat it up, give it a little tiny bit of a shine. Seal it up just a little bit. It's oil based. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and just use a sanding block and go ahead and just give this a light sanding and kind of scuff out some of the air bubbles and such. Okay guys, so my mirror frame is done. I've been spot checking it here, checking it out. For my bottom brackets, it's perfect. The top ones are off by just literally, it's right there. So I mean, it's off by a fraction. So, and that goes for both of them. So it's just a tiny little bit. This is going to be covered up anyways. Like I said, that mirror's glued on. It's not going anywhere. I'm just going to move these two over. Alright, and my plan for securing it, I can always change it up. But at least my first plan is going to be very simple. Just some liquid nails. I'm just going to glue it. I mean, I don't see any reason not to. I wonder if I put a couple of these and alright, so I had to decide for a minute what I wanted to do. I decided this screw right here, I had two of them that are just like somewhere were in the camper. That brass color kind of blends well with this frame. Kind of has a little bit of a rustic look. And if I did it in the same spot, uniform over there, I don't think it looks bad. So I measured everything, make sure we're good to go. Level with this at least. Maybe the camper's not sitting level, but we're level with our shelf. And to clean up the glue that was kind of seeping, I figured I'd show you guys on camera what I was doing here rather than just do it on my own time. I'm using a drywall, mudding scraper and baby wipes, and just kind of pulling just out. Since it is a mirror, you can see some of that glue right there on the edge. And so I'm just going to keep doing this for a minute until it's cleaned up fairly well. Go ahead and clean the window or the mirror. Good. So I did 2 coats of stain, 3 coats of polyurethane. Between the polyurethane coats, I got a sanding block. Just gave the wood a real quick sanding. And it's got a very nice smooth finish to it now. Let me know what you guys think, because I think that this mirror frame made out of pallet wood turned out wonderful. I spent like $2.50 on the corner brackets to put this piece together. And that is all material I already had. I think that makes that mirror area look 50 times better. Come see what we do next. Like, comment, and subscribe. See you guys next time.